So people know a lot of people, and have you known anyone that has been missing or lost their lives?
Yes, ma'am. I had actually one of my good friends of mine that I went to school with, played football with, that lost his life saving his wife and children. So,
oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Wow. And how old was he?
27.
Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Wow. And how old was he?
27, I believe.
Wow. So. Oh, it's devastating. And how about yourself?
I haven't lost nobody in my family, but a lot of my friends have lost people and people that was in the camps that they ain't found yet. And it's just overwhelming. It's overwhelming. That's all you can say. It's very sad, and it's overwhelming to just see what's happening from our community. But it's great, and it's God bless to see everybody uniting again. That's what we need to do.
And for people that maybe don't know about this town or have never been here, what do you want them to know about what's going on and about this community?
What's up, guys?
That we stand hand in hand here, and we love our community here. I have my own landscaping company here, and I love to make people happy, and that's a lot of people here is they love each other, and they love building to make this community better. And I think that's just what all counts here.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have a small company, but we do a lot of work, and I know pretty much everybody in town. I've been here my whole life. And to see everybody unite, and that's what we're about. My small company always helps out. We do whatever we can do just to be there for each person. It's just the way we are. The Hill Country will stand strong.
That was our Fox weather team speaking with Kerrville residents just a short time ago, as you are taking a live look right now outside of Camp Mystic, that Christian girls summer camp. And we did bring you this sad news just a little bit ago that a co-owner and director of Camp Mystic in Kerr County has died as a result of the July 4th flooding. And we learned about that through Representative August Pfluger. He posted saying that Dick Eastland passed away while saving campers from the floods. Dick and his wife, Tweety, were co-owners and executive directors of Camp Mystic. The couple have been involved with the camp for about 50 years, and the camp has been part of the family for almost 90 years. Camp Mystic is a private Christian girls-only camp near the Guadalupe River in Hunt, Texas. And as of this morning, Kerr County officials say 11 girls and 1 counselor are still unaccounted for here. I did want to direct your attention to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You do see we have up a watch box there, as we are expecting Texas Governor Greg Abbott to speak very shortly here. That press conference still not underway at this point. So what we did want to do is go away for another commercial break. When we come back, we'll check back in there, see if that has become.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome back. Checking out some of the helicopter visuals. Look at the damage, incredible damage. They're having a press conference in about 30 minutes, but with Abbott's press conference has been running a bit late. So who knows if they'll start on time or not. Devastating damages. We've been live on both channels today and last night, so make sure you're subscribed to both. This channel here, iCkEdMeL, and iCkEdMeL Clips. If you guys could help me out with the like button, I'd appreciate that. Lisa, I mentioned that I showed a snippet earlier. I think on the second channel, I showed a snippet of what was going on over there. Crazy damages. Around 70 people dead.
Road, unfortunately,
more probably coming.
You have to think that is happening up and down the Guadalupe River. Again, 59 people are confirmed dead just in Kerr County. We don't believe that includes the 6 people that were just found. 38 of them are adults, 21 of them are children. And again, 11 people confirmed dead in surrounding counties, and that rises the death toll to 70. We were speaking of comfort and the fact that I have a source telling me that 6 bodies were found there along Herman and Sons Road. Let's go to our Avery Everett. I have not had a chance to talk to Avery and update her on all of this. Avery, I don't know if you heard my reporting that apparently I'm told 6 bodies were found on Herman and Sons Road out there in Comfort. Are you seeing anything from your vantage point?
Steve, let me first check just how far away. I think I'm a 10-minute drive from that. I'm a 10-minute drive where we are right now. We have not been seeing anything. But since we talked about that a little bit earlier, we talked about a post saying that possibly 2 girls were found where I am between Centerpoint and Comfort. We have seen an influx of people. I'm talking about at one point, there were at least 75 people who are just coming out here to help searching, or to help search rather. I know a big group of about 40 are with Representative Josie Garcia. They just got here and they're getting a couple of quad cars to be able to drive around here. But a lot of other people are just out in the community searching. You can see the river right behind me and just the devastation. We talked about those trees that have been fallen over, but the search is really on here. People have been parking on the road, walking down. We saw 2 people in canoes with helmets and life vests that were getting in, trying to navigate the river. We saw 2 people on horseback, and then, I mean, dozens of other people just walking, trying to search this area. So, I mean, the search very much continues here, and they say that they've been coming to this area because of the reports. So that's exactly what we've been hearing out here. But Steve, I hadn't heard that report yet. We're about a 10-minute drive from there. The helicopters have since cleared. I haven't seen helicopters really in the last 30 minutes. So maybe if we get word from our producers, we can head that way next.
Yeah, and that was my question, Avery. It was a constant in all of the live shots we did from Kerrville and Ingram and Centerpoint yesterday was you heard the helicopters overhead. You have heard some of that today.
Oh, yeah. We have, since the morning, we've seen at least 3 different helicopters. 2 of them were unmarked. One said the U.S. Coast Guard, and that one got extremely close to the riverbed here. I mean, just above some of these trees. That's why we thought at one point that maybe they were going to stop, possibly do a rescue, but they kept on flying by. So, yeah, we've seen a lot of really low helicopters coming through. It appears that they're searching, but obviously we don't know exactly what they're doing up there. But it all coordinates with the other search efforts that are happening here on the ground.
All right, Avery, I'm going to let you go so you can check out the report that I'm told. But I appreciate you reporting live there. We continue to wait for the governor's news conference and the fact that, I'm sure the numbers for him and the situations for him are changing so much. He was very clear yesterday that this is a rescue effort. It has not gone to a recovery effort at this point. They're still hoping that they can find people alive, maybe in some of this debris, maybe they're unconscious, hoping against hope that some survivors can still be found after Friday morning's devastating flood. I am also struck by the governor calling today a day of prayer, asking for this to be a day of prayer. San Antonio's Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra was in Kerrville giving mass today at Notre Dame Church there in Kerrville and basically saying the same thing, asking for prayers, prayers of hope, prayers
Lifelong Texan here knows someone's son who died. So many hateful comments everywhere online celebrating B. It's
as you can see, that's our live
sad.
feed. We are waiting for the governor to come in and give us the very latest update. We're going to take a quick break right now, and hopefully this news.
Thank you so much for the support. I'm sorry, BG, to hear that. Let me read that. Look at that message again. Lifelong Texan here. Someone's son who died. So many hateful comments everywhere. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Condolences. Yeah, I've been talking about that. I covered it on the second page, talking about it last night and this morning.
It's supposed to be a big Independence Day celebration in that very park the night this all unfolded. And now those vehicles just flipped around like toys, and it looks like they went under that berm or potentially over it, because again, the water is receded, right? But just another indication of the job that has to be done. So I used the analogy earlier of the onion, right? You peel back the layers and layers and layers of an onion. That is exactly what we've got here, okay? You've got the search and recovery. You have people over in one area that are going through trucks trying to find possible survivors, but frankly, most likely deceased victims, including children.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing a little stretch of this river here, Casey. I mean, this is we see zoomed in pictures of people looking, but there is so much ground that has to be covered, and it's going to take a long time. It may take some time to find some of these victims. This is the scope of this is just unimaginably horrible. You can see zooming in there at the top of the screen. I mean, there's just tons of trees and piles of debris that need to be searched through. It's extremely hard to go through all of that ground thoroughly looking for victims. So these trees, think about the trucks that we saw a minute ago. Think about how heavy a truck is. And those trucks got tossed and moved down the river like toys. You have no chance of being able to swim out of that once the water really gets going there. So, and at night, so I just unimaginably horrible there. And you can see there just going down the river, it's just constant destruction there.
And the next layer of the onion is the linemen trying to get power restored. Then the next layer of the onion is the funeral home that has to handle the remains and get them back to their loved ones. The next layer of the onion is 100 miles away in Austin, because again, let's bear in mind, this is where our attention is focused. But ladies and gentlemen, 4 people dead in Travis County. That is Austin, the state capital. 4 dead there, 3 dead in Burnett County. That's 60 miles northwest of Austin.
Another vehicle.
4 dead in Kendall County, 90 minutes southwest of Austin. This is video right now from the Austin area. And to think, once again, and yesterday, we should point that out, because as we've told you, that's why it's called flash flooding. The water, astonishingly, it comes down, goes down just about as fast as it comes up. It's quite remarkable to see. There's an inundation of water, and you have that localized street flooding, and this goes way beyond that, but by definition that's what flash flooding is, right? But it recedes super fast, so that wasn't current Austin, but it goes to show you that 100 miles away from where all of our attention is focused here in Kerr County.
So what's up, everybody? Welcome. We're watching live helicopter view over the scene, the flood area. As you can see, the damage is devastating. I wonder why these people are running out. Did they find something? I wonder what's going on there. Or they're just kind of running out. I don't know. The death toll has been up to now confirmed up to 70. We were talking about this hours ago, but 70. 59 people in Kerr County, 4 people in Travis County, 3 people in Burnett County, 2 people in Kendall County, 1 in Williamson County, and 1 in Tom Green County. At least 30 people in various counties are officially listed as missing, including 11 campers and a counselor from the Camp Mystic. So it's still, the whole thing's a mess. Bodies are being found throughout different places. When we first started this live stream, a reporter had mentioned there was a report of 6 bodies just being found. So I just can't imagine what those people are going through that are having to search and look for these people. They also, this was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know if they're alive or deceased, but there was a group of men. Let me show you this picture first. Hold on, I got to download this. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull this up. Let me put the volume on for a second
to make sure that it's safe and it is not free, and that it's free of contaminants. Look at that. I see people running. I'm not sure. We need to bear in mind, again, we're not on a delay, ladies and gentlemen. Those of us joining us, not on a delay. So again, we're sort of acting as filters. We don't want to show you something that should not be shown, and something that is not appropriate to show.
But also, as we zoom in and zoom out, it just gives you, once again, a scale of how large the destruction area is. I mean, this is at least several hundred yards wide. of destruction along this river basin. So there's so much ground that has to be covered, and this is going to be a very long process of finding, leftover, any bodies, victims. So, yeah, it's going to take a while, Casey. Just looking at that.
Not mentioning any kind of a name or anything like that, but there is some interesting traffic that's kind of making its rounds a little bit on the interwebs, as I like to say, and don't have it independently verified, and want to be very clear about this. This is by no means intended to get anyone's hopes up or anything of that nature. There are a few reports that are surfacing in a couple of more reliable and credible sources that there may, and I want to put an asterisk on that, may have been 2 girls rescued alive today.
So
rescued
we're
alive.
going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
In the flood zone between Comfort and Homulus Road in Center Point, and that there were 4 deceased individuals found in the same area. If this is true, and we can substantiate this and get this independently verified, which our intrepid team of journalists here at KDFW and Fox 4 who have all been working around the clock, not just the news department. Dylan's here with weather. I mean, we got to give a shout out to creative services and our sales team and all of the aspects of this TV operation here, this broadcast operation, who have been putting in the producers, the photographers.
Okay, so the whole thing of this has been going on for they're just announcing this now that this is like breaking, but the 2 missing girls report, I've been seeing that for like 2 hours. Now, I haven't been able to see anywhere besides Twitter where they said that this guy, Carmine Sabia, reported this 2 hours ago, and I bookmarked this tweet. 2 girls missing in Texas flood were just found alive together in a high tree. Now, I haven't been able to verify it. This is the only place I've seen was Twitter. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I don't have a source for where that information came from. And we've been sitting on this for 2 hours, so I don't know live now.
Enough, put it this way,
where they're
to
getting
say
that
it
from
here on the air with you all, as it has popped up in a couple of more credible places. But I do want to say that Dylan alluded to this a little bit earlier, that there's a lot of misinformation that's going on out there on social.
I hope it's true. I hope to God it's true, but we will see. Hold on, somebody 9 minutes ago. Oh, wait, somebody posted an article. Let me see. Is this a real? See, I don't know if this is a real news station. Seems like it.
Place. Go see if you can find it elsewhere, as opposed to just taking it as gospel and then, putting it into the echo chamber.
According to this, KerrCountyLead.com, they're saying 2 girls were found in a tree near Comfort, alive. Sources on the ground confirm the rescue amid extensive search operations along the Guadalupe corridor, where floods reached up to unprecedented levels on Friday. So I hope it's true. That's amazing if so.
Corner of your screen. Again, we are still awaiting this press conference with Governor Abbott that was set to start here just about 20 minutes or so ago. But as you can imagine, this is a developing situation here. So we are going to just keep an eye on this. As soon as it does begin, though, we will bring it to you.
Credibility is very important to us. I looked around, Casey, and right now the best that I could find was just confirmed by multiple sources. So until we hear something from, officially, just be cautiously optimistic, I guess. So we'll be looking for any information about that from credible sources.
Well,
if anybody has any more information on that too, hopefully the tip thing is working. You can email me or go to iCkEdMeL.com and send the tip in. Just send me a source if you have one. That'd be great.
Now, supposed to start at 2:30, and here we're sitting at 2:48, and.
All right, it does appear we do see Texas Governor Greg Abbott as he is now entering the room for this media briefing. Let's head over and listen in.
Oh, it is working. I got a tip already. Okay.
I want to thank everybody for being with us here today. We're in Austin today as opposed to Kerrville because of deadly storms that have swept across central Texas and areas outside of the Kerrville area, and because of more expected storms that will pose life-threatening danger over the next 24 to 48 hours. I want to emphasize, however, even though we now are broadening the area that we're focused on, we are not at all reducing our focus on Kerrville. They remain a key focus in so many different ways. We continue 24/7 operations to search for anybody who was affected by that deadly storm. We still have our Department of Public Safety assets, the National Guard, Texas Task Force 1 and 2, and game wardens, all fully engaged in responding to the disaster in Kerrville. We also intensify our focus on the families affected by this. They're going through horrific events that have turned their lives upside down. We're working to aid them, assist them with regard to counseling, grief, all kinds of things we can do to assist those families. One of the most important things that we can do is to address their greatest concern, and that is there are so many families that are still waiting to learn about their loved one. And we are working 24/7 to get the information that will be able to answer their question. What I can tell you is several things. I had the opportunity yesterday to visit Camp Mystic and get to see firsthand what happened there, as well as all the way downstream after that. And it was nothing short of horrific to see what those young children went through. And we will remain 100% dedicated, searching for every single one of the children who were at Camp Mystic, as well as anybody else in the entire riverbed, to make sure that they're going to be recovered. We know that parents and families, they want information, they want closure, and we want them to know that we are working as swiftly as possible to get them accurate information that will provide that closure. I do want to thank the local officials, city and county and otherwise, who also are working around the clock to make sure they are addressing those concerns. The information I'm going to give you is as of this current moment in time, knowing that this is around the clock to make sure they are addressing those concerns. The information I'm going to give you is as of this current moment in time, knowing that this information will constantly change throughout the remainder of today as well as in the coming days. In Kerrville and Kerr County, there are 59 confirmed deceased. There's still 11 missing from Camp Mystic. Separate from there, in the central Texas area, there are confirmed 10 deceased. And across the state, in all the areas affected by flooding, there are 41 known missing. So important to emphasize this, especially in the Kerrville area. There were so many people who were just camping out, not children in camps, but adults camping out near the river, people in RVs and things like that. There are people who are missing who are not on the known confirmed missing because we don't yet know who they are. We will maintain our ongoing search throughout the entire river system to find anybody who may be missing. One thing that could help this is if you are a relative or friend of someone that you think was in Kerrville or Kerr County that you think is missing, please contact the local officials in Kerr County and let them know that you have the name, identification, and other information about a person who is suspected to be missing. If, however, you don't have confirmed information about that and you're making phone calls, you are slowing down the process of the first responders being able to respond to those who are clearly identified as missing. If you're doing that, you're interrupting official business, and that could be potentially illegal. Call only if you have specific information. While we continue the search process in Kerr County, we are now also beginning the process of responding to the disaster that took place. Includes things like debris removal. Anybody who's seen any images whatsoever in the Kerr County area, you know there's debris all over the place that makes roads impassable, that makes reconstruction projects unachievable, that makes search process more difficult. And the state and local governments are working now on that debris removal process. That process is improved because of President Trump's swift declaration of our major disaster declaration. He ensured in less than 24 hours that major disaster declaration was approved, ensuring that state and local governments are going to have more resources to be able to respond to that disaster, more resources to begin the debris removal, more resources to help individuals who've been impacted by this, as well as local governments that have been impacted by this. Bottom line is this, and that is the swift and very robust action by President Trump is an extraordinary help to our response. I also want to thank Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, with whom I spent the day yesterday in Kerr County. I've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen anybody as responsive and as quickly in her response as what she was yesterday. She didn't wait to get back to us. She was able to, in a matter of minutes, get answers to very important demands. And on behalf of the state of Texas, we cannot thank her or the Trump administration enough. I've also been in contact with, and people reached out from Secretary Kennedy, Secretary Burgum, and others that in the entire administration are a tremendous help. I also want to add that there are governors across the country that have been in contact with either myself or with Chief Nim Kidd or state agencies offering their assistance, including Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa, Jim Pillen, the governor of Nebraska, Bill Lee, the governor of Tennessee, Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, the governor of the state of Oklahoma, and Governor Landry in Louisiana. And again, I'm sorry if I missed some. I know there's others that are constantly reaching out. We're here, as I mentioned, in Austin today because there have been lives lost in this greater region. And importantly, there are dangers over the next 24 to 48 hours that could pose public safety threats to people in these regions. There is heavy rainfall that's already occurred, and there's more heavy rainfall that's expected that will lead to potential flash flooding broadly in these regions. The Big Country, Concho Valley, Central Texas, and once again, Kerrville. The point is this: if you're in any of those regions, you need to realize, for one, you're in an area with land that's already saturated with water. But for another, when more water comes down, it could lead to rapid flash flooding events. Now, there's nothing expected at this time to the magnitude of what was seen in Kerrville. That said, flash flooding can occur at lower levels of water than what happened in Kerrville. It's a particular threat for people who are driving on roadways. Some of the lives lost in Central Texas were people who were swept away in vehicles or in similar crossing type situations. Know that rising water on roads can occur very rapidly. You may think you can drive through it only to find out when you're in there that it's too late and that you're getting swept away. And so we urge everybody to be extraordinarily cautious for the next 24 to 48 hours. If there's any water on the road, you got to be safe. There's an old saying for a reason, because it's true, and that is turn around, don't drown. You don't need to get from point A to point B if it's going to risk your life. Your job, the most important thing you can do is to protect your lives. And taking a step back, for all of us up here, that's our number one job. We put public safety first, and we'll worry about the physical damage second. There are still public safety issues and lives to be saved in Kerr County. There are lives to be saved in all these regions that I just mentioned here. We want our fellow Texans to be safe and secure, and you can do more about that yourself than anybody else can. With that, I think, pass it to you, Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Colonel Freeman Martin of the Texas Department of Public Safety.
It's been a tough 3 days for Texans, and I can assure you here at this table today that everything that can be done is being done. Currently, we have operations going on in several different counties. Williamson County had 3 people missing. They recovered 1, 2 are still missing. Ongoing searching. Burnett County is missing, 2 people missing. The fire chief and a 17-year-old female. The Department of Public Safety is offering any and every resource that we have to help with those searches, whether it be boat teams, rescue, divers, helicopters, drone operators, drones. So there's a lot of work being done. The governor's very accurate. The ground is saturated, so now a little bit of rainfall and watershed can cause issues. Williamson County is well aware of that. The ground was saturated. They knew they had issues, and they evacuated neighborhoods, which saved lives. And all that being done, they still have 3 that were washed away. I'll touch on Kerr County. We have about 230 DPS personnel assigned to Kerr County, and everybody thinks about search and rescue and what we're doing. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're filling every gap, and first off, this is nothing negative about Kerr County. They've got a very good sheriff. Their fire chief is exceptional. Their police chief is exceptional. Everybody's working together. The outpouring of support, there's a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of good stuff going on, but there's a lot of there's just a huge need, and it's a large area. So we're providing 18 tactical marine units with boats. We've got 65 CID personnel assigned, over 230 in total, 11 Texas Rangers, 28 from our Special Operations Group, our SWAT guys. In addition to that, we've got 9 helicopters with tactical flight officers. We're providing cell towers and trying to solve the issues with the radio communications and their cell phone communications. We've provided communications operators to embed with them to handle 911 calls and handle calls with concerned family members. Dealing with the families of these missing individuals, there's no higher priority for us than finding those children. We've assigned commissioned personnel and victim service personnel to the family that are working with, they're with them 24/7, can answer or address any needs that they have and get them any information they have. This is tough work, recovering them. So we have victim service personnel there to work with officers that are conducting the search operations additionally. We have some unidentified individuals at the funeral home, adults and juveniles. The Texas Rangers are collecting DNA from family members and from the deceased victims, and we're flying those to the University of North Texas in Dallas, and we will have answers with rapid DNA in hours, not days, to get some closure and information back to these families. We have, in the last couple of days, an outpouring of support from our federal partners, DEA, HSI, and FBI. We've embedded them with our search and rescue teams. This is tough work. It's hot. They're in the mud. They're removing debris. There's snakes. There's water moccasins. This is God's work that they're doing. So, the top priority is the family and the victims. Pray for them, but throw our first responders in there, because there's a lot of good work going on. We're not taking away from any resources from Kerrville to pre-stage here. We're pulling from South Texas, West Texas, and North Texas into Central Texas to prepare for our emergency response. We're well prepared. The legislature, the governor, in previous years has been overwhelmingly supportive of law enforcement and gave us the resources, so we're prepared to respond to events like this in multiple regions of the state at the same time. So, Governor, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, General Seltzer with the Texas National Guard.
Good afternoon. The Texas Military Department remains decisively engaged across the flood operations area. Our current force composition, we have 230 personnel operating. We're flying 8 helicopters, and we've increased the size of our force of high-profile military vehicles to help evacuate people from high water areas. We've also expanded our operations area to not only include Kerrville, but we now have personnel operating in San Saba and Burnett. The additional resources we've added since our last briefing are a behavioral health officer in Kerrville, a chaplain in Kerrville. We also sent a chaplain to San Saba. We've expanded the state's Air Operations Center, which is a multi-agency air coordination center hosted by TMD, but it includes every agency that operates across the interagency in Texas. So inside that operations center, we can ensure that the right asset is going to the right location to do the right job. Additionally, today we have launched the MQ-9 Reaper remotely piloted aircraft out of Houston. That aircraft departs Houston, goes out over the Gulf of America, and climbs to 18,000 feet. And then along a special FAA corridor, traverses over to the Kerrville area to conduct persistent SAR, persistent incident awareness and assessment operations. It's truly an eye in the sky for our search and rescue people. I'd like to thank the Federal Aviation Administration today. Due to weather at 18,000 feet, we could not transit from the Gulf of America to the Kerrville area. The FAA granted a temporary flight restricted area through a lower altitude, which allowed our aircraft to safely transit across Texas and operate in the Kerr County area. In terms of rescues and evacuations for the Texas Military Department, we have a total of 525 rescues or evacuations. 366 have been by air and 159 by ground. Of those count, 20 ground evacuations occurred in San Saba and 5 air evacuations occurred in Burnett. And that concludes my briefing. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Now with the LCRA, there it is, Phil.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Phil Wilson, General Manager of the Lower Colorado River Authority. I think the most significant message we have in the general area right now is that if and when we get more rain, please stay off the lakes. High the lakes have a lot of debris right now. It's not safe to be boating.
Oh, let's pause this. Let's pause this. Okay, how you guys doing here? We got people. So I've been checking the tip line. Thank you for everybody that went to iCkEdMeL.com and sent me some links and stuff. This is from Johanna. This guy here confirms. This guy's saying 2 girls were rescued. Let's stop and listen to this. They're saying 2 girls rescued and found alive.
All right, guys, I'll try and give you another little update here. It's 12:45. I'll walk through this as we're doing this, but we've been here about an hour and a half, I guess. So far, we've probably had 75 people show up, which is fantastic. I have some really exciting news that I'll share in a sec. I'll wait as people are loading in. But on the sad side, just here in the spot where we are, I just watched them pull a man's body out of the debris. They're now working on a mother and a daughter that got trapped in a car, and there's a 4th person somewhere here. They have cadaver dogs that are going through and hitting on certain spots. But behind me here are obviously the paid workers, the ones we really need. But we've got state police, fire, EMS, and they work whenever a body is found or smelled. So we're not allowed to work in this area right now. all of the people that we've got here are working back behind me over there, and I'll walk y'all into there. But the cool thing, which I wanted to share, is we just got news that 2 girls were found 27 feet up in a tree alive.
Wow.
They've been holding on for over a day.
Wow.
And they found them 6 miles downriver. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're from, but they were 2 young girls, and that's down in Comfort.
Major news.
So,
Major
Comfort,
news.
Texas. Let me see if I can
Comfort,
turn
that's where
around
the rumors are coming from.
I don't know if I can.
Holy moly.
There we go. So this is our crew, and this is what we're doing. People have shown up with skid steers and tractors. Monica made it.
Wow.
We are pulling things apart into different piles. A wood pile for burning, a metal pile, and then just a trash pile to haul off. But these piles are 30 feet tall. You can see the people crawling over them like ants. And we have chainsaws that are just cutting the trees into smaller pieces so that we can then pull them out and just whittle our way down on all the debris. But I'll get up here. This is, of everything I saw yesterday, this is the worst. There are several areas like this, but this is as thick and heavy and bad as the damage gets to go through. I mean, there's a car in the middle of the water there. There's another one way back there. You can see it has an orange stripe on it, which means, or an orange X, means it's been searched and nobody was in it. There's an RV turned upside down right there. There's another one here in this pile. The smell is just awful, which makes us fear that there are more bodies somewhere near, but they're just trying to get them. We've got Sarah here that showed up, ER doctor and friend, who is about to be running her chainsaw, and I'm glad to have her. I told her to just stick behind me. I get nervous holding a chainsaw. Glad to have an ER doc around. But anyway, this is a little creek. There's a bridge here, little creek that feeds into the Guadalupe River, which is right here. But I've just walked across the one family that we're helping, their property. And as soon as I cross the creek here, I've entered onto the neighbor's property, which we're also helping. These are more of our guys that have all shown up from our ask.
That's incredible.
And you can see a bunch of state police there, which means they are also working on another body. So that will be 5 bodies just in the last 2 and 3 hours that we have helped dig through.
And these are those reports of bodies being found as well.
But anyway, we're doing good things. We're doing good work.
That's amazing, man.
But
oh
it
my
sure
God,
is tough
some
to
good
see
news out of such horrible stuff.
But there's a lot of healing
you know?
in knowing that we're helping. So anyway, but I hope you all will all celebrate the good news of those 2 girls that were found alive.
Wow.
And it sure gives everybody a hope to keep digging more and digging faster and just praying. So anyway, thanks again for all of your support. Thanks for everyone that is showing up. We cannot have enough people and hands. We have the equipment. We just need the manpower and the hands to run it. And if you came here, you would think it would take a month for people to work through this. But I think we're going to get it done in pretty good short order. We are right now in Ingram, about a mile up the river from Kerrville. It's been interesting talking to people as they come in, because if you were in Kerrville, you would not know anything had happened in this town other than beautiful signs that people have put out. Kerrville strong, we love you, Mystic, all kinds of beautiful signs on the buildings. But the town looks totally unaffected damage-wise. You just have to get down to the river down here where all of that is. So this is directly on the shore. You can see the river running right through there. So I'm on the shoreline, and it's just packed probably 50 feet wide and they're just working with the skid steers to pull it out piece by piece. When they know there's a body near, they have to obviously do it very slowly, very carefully, and we have to let the pros do it so it's all done right. So we just work ahead of them.
Thank you,
Awesome
Angie.
news.
And when a dog
Thank you,
tells
Mel,
us
for
to
the
stop,
coverage. You are incredible
have
at
to
this
stop
crazy YouTube.
and move up to the
Friend.
next place. We have more food than we can ever eat. So many people have been great. A church said that they could feed 1,000 of us, and Monica brought 25 Whataburgers that Whataburger donated. I stopped by a gas station getting some Gatorades and drinks, and he asked if I was going to a party. This was in Johnson City. I said, no, I'm going to help with the survivors, or help dig stuff out. And he said, take whatever you need. It's all on me. So it's so neat what people have been doing to help everybody with the process. Here we're getting into the part where all of the troopers are working, and I'm not going to film in there. You can see all the people standing around, which means they're getting close to pulling somebody out. So not fun stuff to see.
Man, it's the first good thing in like days. I feel like that we've heard.
That's my little report here from Ingram.
Oh my gosh.
Please keep your thoughts and prayers coming. Please keep sending help. We just bought 5 new chainsaws and are working through them, and we just need more people to run them. We're here. You can look on Facebook and previous posts and see the addresses of where we are and where we need the help. All right, guys, again, enjoy your Sunday and keep your thoughts with everybody that's here going through all of this.
Wow. Wow. I'm taken back by that. That's amazing. And
the state had pre-positioned assets and resources in and around
Thank you for the people that sent me the
beginning on
information.
Wednesday before the storm on Friday. As we learned more on Thursday, more assets were provided in various regions. We knew, based upon predicted weather, certain regions where the rain may fall. There was an inability to know precisely where that rain was going to fall and how much was going to fall, where it did fall. And as far as what the locals may have done, Chief Kidd may know more than I, but I would leave it up to them to let you know.
And listen, thank you for the question. We need to spend a lot of time trying to answer this question, because from a technical perspective, there are multiple warning systems that are out there.
It's just like,
and
I can't even, man. That's
All of us
amazing.
can choose to sign up for warning systems in certain areas, depending on the local government that we're in and the way that their system works. There's a lot of talk about a program called WIA, the Wireless Emergency Alert, and iPause, the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, and how they work or sometimes don't work. And then you have areas where there is no cell phone coverage. And if there's no cell phone coverage, it doesn't matter how many alert systems you sign up for, you're not going to get that.
That's true.
And then there's the NOAA weather radios from the National Weather Service. I'll ask you, how many of you have a NOAA weather radio by your bed at home?
I bet a lot of people don't, no. I have one in the closet.
There can be all kinds of alert systems that are sent, and we know that some were sent, some general messaging was sent early, some urgent warnings were sent at various times, but just sending the message is not the same as receiving the message, having a plan to do something when you receive the message, and then the ability to implement that plan. And so I really would love to have a separate conversation with all of you about how we can continue to get the message to the public about what they need to do when they get a message, what they should do when that message is received, and how they communicate that back to their loved ones and family members.
Let me add this also. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the city manager for Kerrville explained that on the morning of the 4th, he was out jogging at about 3:30 in the morning, and it just then began to rain a little bit. He got home and saw that it rained a little bit more, and he saw after that the torrent of water that was coming down the river. And the point that he made was that by the moment in time when they knew the magnitude of the water, it's a difficult decision whether or not to begin evacuating people or not, because if you have a warning telling everybody to evacuate, you could actually lead them to their death. We know that some deaths in Kerrville were people who died who got swept away who were trying to evacuate. And so local officials know the best about the terrain, about the danger spots and things like that, about who might be able to evacuate, those that would just be getting into a more dangerous situation.
You talked in what you just said kind of about expertise and about just knowing the area, and that extends also to the National Weather Service folks who are in those offices and have years and years of experience. There are currently 6 vacancies in the local National Weather Service office that cover Kerr County. What is your perspective on how that could have impacted the warnings that you all were able to get and how accurate the information you all were able to get? So
I know nothing about the staffing. What I do know is what they put out. And it's my understanding that what they put out was kind of the information that the state was operating off of, and that is that there were alerts or warnings about heavy rain, potential for flash flooding in certain areas. A problem with that is that to most people in the area, flash flooding would mean one thing, not what it turned out to be, because they deal with flash floods all the time. Just like I put people on notice in these regions of Texas right now, there's the potential for flash flooding, but there's no expectation of a water wall of almost 30 feet high.
Governor Abbott, on that topic, we know that these alerts can be life-saving at times, and a lot of times these forecasters get their information from the National Weather Service. Are you communicating with your federal partners on how critical funding is for the National Weather Service in order to issue alerts like this and this disaster like this?
It's one of the things that we spoke about when Secretary Noem was in, and this is part of ongoing conversations. And I'll add this. As you all probably know, we have a special session coming up, and the way to respond to like what happened in Kerrville is going to be a topic for the special session to address.
We have time for 2 more questions. Is part of what you want to address, because there was a bill that was going to create a council to kind of talk about what warning systems, and it was not successful. Is it a concern that there's all these camps on this area? This is an area that deals with flash flooding, but there were no sirens that were in this area. Can you talk about that and why that hasn't been funded to this point?
Well, it's going to be something that will be looked at. As you kind of pointed out, these camps go back almost 100 years, and they are familiar with the water in the area probably better than anybody else. And they have their own ways in which to deal with warnings that would involve children, sometimes as young as 8 or 9 years old. And we need to evaluate what they know, how they respond, what they need. And that's why it's going to be good to have a session with all members working together that will bring different perspectives, because the reality also is this, and that is what's needed in that river basin at that location could be far different than what's needed in some other river basin across the state.
Time for one more, folks.
Go ahead.
Hayden, Texas Tribune. Do you know if anyone tried to get a warning to people at the camps outside of the automated disaster system?
I missed the first part of the question.
Did anyone try to get warning to the people at the camps outside of the automated system?
So
I'm not sure that I understand the question. I mean, does somebody go door to door and knock on the doors, or?
Yeah, we're just wondering if there are any official outreach in the area.
You know, we talked to the county emergency manager when we were there the first day, and the county does have a plan for that county and the 18 or so camps that are in that county. Probably be really good to ask them that question and let them give you that answer. It's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Incredible.
All right, you're just listening in there.
Incredible.
Greg Abbott alongside some of the emergency management individuals there on the ground in Austin, Texas, talking about some of the new details as he leaves the room, as the rescue operations still remain underway, and some devastating news as he continues to note some of the numbers as the death toll continues to rise. They also mentioned the amount of people that are missing right now is a number that also is on the rise. So
2 girls found alive, man. That's amazing.
We're just getting some of these in, the heartbreaking, devastating images of some of these communities there in the Texas Hill Country during these summer months when so many kids are out of school and they're also at some of these different camps. You can see the communities somewhat of a little mall area right here. The amount of mud on the ground. Another live picture in Kerrville, Texas.
I bet you there's some people that are still mad at that shit.
The water still at an elevated level. They're expecting more rain on the way, and that is a concern as there are current flash flood warnings in Guadalupe.
So this guy here said 2 girls found alive. That's incredible. Wow. Wow.
Guys, I'll try and give you another little update here. It's 12:45.
Wow.
I'll walk through this as we're doing this, but we've been here about an hour and a half, I guess. So far, we've probably had 75 people show up, which is fantastic. I have some really exciting news that I'll share in a sec. I'll wait as people are loading in. But on the sad side, just here in the spot where we are, I just watched them pull a man's body out of the debris. They're now working on a mother and a daughter that got trapped in a car. And there's a fourth person somewhere here. They have cadaver dogs that are going through and hitting on certain spots. But behind me here are obviously the paid workers, the ones we really need. But we've got state police, fire, EMS, and they work whenever a body is found or smelled. So we're not allowed to work in this area right now. All of the people that we've got here are working back behind me over there, and I'll walk y'all into there. But the cool thing, which I wanted to share, is we just got news that 2 girls were found 27 feet up in a tree alive. They've been holding on for over a day, and they found them 6 miles downriver. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're from, but they were 2 young girls, and that's down in Comfort, Comfort, Texas. Let me see if I can turn around the camera. I don't know if I can. There we go.
It's amazing.
This is our crew, and this is what we're doing. People have shown up with skid steers and tractors. Monica made it. We are pulling things apart into different piles. A wood pile for burning, a metal pile, and then just a trash pile to haul off. But these piles are 30 feet tall. You can see the people crawling over them like ants. And we have chainsaws that are just cutting the trees into smaller pieces so that we can then pull them out and just whittle our way down on all the debris. But I'll get up here. This is amazing. Of everything I saw yesterday, this is the worst. There are several areas like this, but this is as thick and heavy and bad as the damage gets to go through. I mean, there's a car in the middle of the water there. There's another one way back there.
I wonder if,
you can see it has an orange stripe on it, which means, or an orange X, means it's been searched and nobody was in it. There's an RV turned upside down right there. There's another one here in this pile.
Trash, man. There could be people stuck in
smell is
vehicles
just
still
awful,
hanging on.
which makes us fear that there are more bodies somewhere near.
Oh, the smell.
But they're just trying to get them. We've got Sarah here that showed up, ER doctor and friend, who is about to be running her chainsaw, and I'm glad to have her. I told her to just stick behind me. I get nervous holding the chainsaw. Glad to have an ER doc around. But anyway, this is a little creek. There's a bridge here, little creek that feeds into the Guadalupe River, which is right here. But I've just walked across the one family that we're helping, their property. And as soon as I cross the creek here, I've entered onto the neighbor's property, which we're also helping. These are more of our guys that have all shown up from our ask. And you can see a bunch of state police there, which means they are also working on another body. So that will be 5 bodies.
Wow.
Just in the last 2 and 3 hours that we have helped dig through. But anyway,
that is crazy, man. It's like
we're doing good things. We're doing good work. but it sure is tough to see and watch. But there's a lot of healing in knowing that we're helping. So anyway, but I hope you all will all celebrate the good news of those 2 girls that were found alive, and it sure gives everybody a hope to keep digging more and digging faster and just praying. So anyway, thanks again for all of your support. Thanks for everyone that is showing.
That is wild, man. Wild, wild, wild. I was hoping to see if we could find if the helicopter's coming back. I really like that helicopter feed. Helicopter got off. Let me take a look and see.
On the ground.
There's another story too about
so they're picking
these people that were stranded. Seems like all the news channels are showing old stuff right now.
Frozen, so we've got audio, we don't have video, so we're going to go to that eventually.
Okay. Yes.
Once they start, and we're going to, just to explain to people at home, you may not see it, but we're going to take the Kerr County news conference coming up here momentarily. But sorry to interrupt you, Shelby. We've got all this breaking stuff happening.
Yes.
I want to make sure we let our people at home know that we're still waiting for that Kerr County news conference to begin.
Kerr County is pretty.
And thank you so much, Steve, for interrupting me.
So Kerr County has been pretty informative, and Abbott's press conference today was a bit different. It was a little bit more. It was more on the informative side. So Abbott said at the news conference that heavy rain over the next 24 to 48 hours in the Concho Valley near Kerrville could cause more flash flooding. So there's people out there. You still got to be very careful, cautious, aware of your surrounding. If you have those weather radios, probably just have them on in the background playing in your house. Phones across Kerrville just blared with an emergency. This was 23 minutes ago. With an emergency alert saying there was high confidence of river flooding near the North Fork of Guadalupe River, which flows through Hunt, so move to higher ground. So there's still alerts going on. People need to be very careful and aware of their surroundings.
Crumbling, and that wall, the building is a gaping hole right now. Back out here live, we have seen first responders here along the Guadalupe River here on the campsite. We've also seen camp workers, families who are trying to clear out some of these cabins over my other shoulder.
Really, Bama? You can send
according
it
to
me.
Governor Greg Abbott, was above some of the cabins here on the campgrounds. So we know that counselors had to punch out some of those windows to get campers out. So we do have windows that are open. You can see pillows that are caught in those windows. We have seen people pulling out belongings, clothes or trunks coming out of those cabins. So it is an all hands on deck here in Kerr County. We have canines, we have choppers overhead, drones. That search continues into Sunday. Before I leave, we could pan this way. This is where the Guadalupe runs through Hunt, and you can see these trees, just how powerful those floodwaters were early Friday morning. These trees now completely horizontal, and it's like this all the way down the Guadalupe River. We do have families of these missing campers who are in town at a nearby town in Ingram that are waiting for any update, any briefing from officials as those recovery efforts go into Sunday. In Hunt, Peyton Yeager, Fox News.
The pictures out of there, just incredible. Dylan, while we're monitoring the weather and the radar currently over central Texas, I do want to take a chance to read something. Former President George W. Bush, his office has released a statement. I want to read this. They're spending summer, as they always do, in Kennebunkport up in Maine. Today, the president says, on this day of prayer, Laura and I are holding up our fellow Texans who are hurting. We are heartbroken by the loss of life and the agony so many are feeling. Those who lost their precious children are facing a grief that no parent should ever know. We are grateful to the first responders and volunteers who are working to find the missing and comfort the grieving at Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe. We know our words cannot help, but we believe that prayers of so many Americans will. So, former President George W. Bush, a proud Texan, responding to the news of what we're watching unfold in Central Texas, a calamity of epic proportions, frankly. Dylan, today is a National Day of Prayer.
All right, just listening in there to our Fox 4 team as they're doing a great job trying to grasp and grapple with the magnitude of the heartbreak, of the devastation, the damage that continues to come through, and we continue to see it. You saw it there from the report from Peyton Yeager about what was going on. You can see potentially some of the rain start to fall right now there in parts of the hill country in Texas. We're expecting an update on the ground from Kerrville here in just a little bit of time. They're about half an hour or so behind schedule, so we'll take you out to this as soon as it happens. Let's do slide away for a quick 2-minute break. We'll get you back out to Texas.
Okay. So there was this story, too, of some people that were, thank you, Ruby, again. I appreciate you. Says, thanks. Awesome, 2 found alive today. Thank you, Lord. Yeah, 2 found alive today. Don't get it confused with the other story where somebody was found in a tree. This was today. Just now, just recently, 2 girls found in a tree, which is, it's just incredible, great, amazing news. The sad part to that, though, is they were mentioning how there were literally bodies around them, people's bodies. That guy that was on video was just showing the different bodies that were found. And let me see, this vehicle, here's the vehicle. There was a group of men. Let me show you this picture. Here. There was a group of men working to remove debris, and on mud on top of a red vehicle along the banks of the Guadalupe River in Kerrville. Officials have arrived. They believe there's at least 1 person inside. I'm assuming deceased, but I don't know. This was about an hour ago. The chopper had some really good feed, but the chopper had to go refuel. So I'm hoping the chopper comes back. That might bring the whole finding these 2 kids, these 2 people, that could bring some morale and maybe make some of these searchers go even harder, or maybe give them a little bit of hope, or families, maybe a little bit of hope. Crazy. We're still waiting on this press conference, Kerrville.
And all it does is lead people astray and provides a sense of false hope, and so that's important to remember.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, also, it makes our job as journalists harder to produce accurate information for everybody, but also you heard the governor say it, that it makes their jobs a lot harder as well, because then there's questions, okay, do we still look for this person? So he said it best. If you don't have confirmed, vetted information that person X is alive or not, if you don't have that information confirmed, don't circulate it through the ether, because that's how misinformation gets spread, and we saw that this afternoon.
Former volunteer firefighter reportedly missing.
It's really dangerous.
The media is still way behind, hours behind. Former volunteer firefighter reportedly missing, but wife found alive after clinging to trees in Texas flood. This came out. Thank you, Kim sent this. A former volunteer firefighter is missing, and his wife has been found safe after they were caught in the Texas flood while camping Friday, July 4th. Both Brad and Tina clung to trees when their RV was swept away while they camped. Brad has not been heard from since. He spoke with his son briefly on the phone during the flood, while Tina was found alive and hospitalized. Dang. Wow. Wow. Crazy to see that. Those vehicles, who knows what they're going to find. All the vehicles and the water. I guess they have to search vehicles too. Wow. Waiting for another update.
A Reaper remote pilot, an MQ-9. This is a drone. And it is a drone that is operated and flown totally remotely. And they explained this Reaper takes off from Houston, piloted out of Houston. It flies out over the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. It ascends to 18,000 feet, an altitude at which some commercial airplanes fly. And then it has a pre-cleared FAA route to traverse the skies of Texas to go straight to Kerrville. And it allows them to get a bird's eye view, was the word he used. And the conditions have been deteriorating, and because of that, they were not able to launch it at the 18,000 foot altitude. So the FAA granted special clearance just to get this thing off the ground and to get it over the region. And why does a drone fly so high? Well, when I was in Afghanistan, I spent a couple of weeks in Afghanistan embedded with a wing of the U.S. Air Force while working for Fox News. And I got to see these Reaper drones on the flight line up close and personal in Kandahar, on the forward operating base we stayed at in Kandahar. And it was absolutely crazy. You had pilots that were flying those Reaper drones in Nevada at Nellis Air Force Base, and we were worlds away in the middle of a war zone in Afghanistan, and I was like, wait, these are being flown back in the good old US of A in Nevada, and that is what they're using, a Reaper, an MQ-9 Reaper drone, and they have launched that, and it's able to fly so high, and it can fly. What makes it unique is that it can fly for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on like a little sip of gasoline or fuel.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And the camera capabilities on these things, it's likely technology that only the U.S. military has to be able to fly that high, but that's what they use overseas in theater to conduct intelligence and surveillance on the enemy. They can fly so high up in the air, and they can get such a thorough, detailed view on the ground from 18,000 feet up, and it's so high you can't hear it. So the enemy doesn't know that it's there, but it's a valuable tool because it sends back live feeds of pictures that allow them to see really, really with great detail what's going on, and that's different from a drone because this is military grade. So that's just one of the assets that are being used in this operation. 1987, let's talk about this really fast. We want to also just remind you before we do talk about this and show you the video, we are awaiting another press conference. We had the podium up earlier. That's not exciting to look at, so we're back to the live pictures of Kerr County, but we'll come back to these after we show the 1987 flood. But we are awaiting a press conference. We'll bring it to you when it happens. January 16th, 1987, okay? This is where this video is from. This was just outside of Comfort, Texas.
Yeah.
The kids were at the Pot O' Gold Christian camp, and they had settled in for their final night of their retreat. While 30 miles up the Guadalupe River at the other end of Kerr County, heavy rainfall would start, and it would generate a very eerily similar situation, a setup to what we saw here a few days ago. And while trying to evacuate that camp, a bus carrying 43 little campers never made it across. The bus got stuck, and sadly, 10 on the bus did not make it. And at the time, a report was released by the National Weather Service in New Braunfels, And they said that the group was at the exact wrong place at the exact wrong time. All right, here we are, Kerr County now. The Kerr County, let's listen in as we get the very latest at 3:44 in the afternoon. Well, audio issues there. Once again, this is fluid, and that's why the DPS is bringing in cell towers, and it's why there has been so much difficulty in terms of getting communication in and out of the area. So
the chopper's
we are
back up.
expecting to
right
get this
now
fixed.
to be
there we
safe.
go.
We'll determine when it's safe again to put them back in there. But this is one time we wouldn't be able to contact all these volunteers and get them out of there. So please understand that, and please pass that message. We have a ton of resources here. I can make a phone call and get a ton more here. We have all the resources, all the equipment, all the manpower, all the food we need, okay? Please help me pass that message on. We do have it under control. So now as we get into my notes, search and rescue operations continue with a full response from local, state, and national first responders. We continue to have hundreds of officers, deputies, and to support our staff working every aspect of this emergency, along with air, water, canine, and other assets conducting search and rescue. As of 1:30, we have recorded 68 deceased in Kerr County. Among those who are deceased, we have 40 adults and 28 children. 18 adults are pending identification and 18 adults are pending identification and 10 children are also pending identification. Once again, pending identification are 18 adults and 10 children. At present, there are 10 Camp Mystic campers unaccounted for and 1 counselor. We continue to offer our condolences to those affected, and we will work tirelessly till we reunite them with their families. We know there are many people concerned that are affected by this tragic situation. Please be careful about social media rumors and misinformation. False information can cause pain to families and those already devastated by this event. Please follow the Kerrville Police Department, our Kerr County Sheriff's Office Facebook for verified information. Please do that. All of our information put out is verified. Please note that Highway 39 west of Ingram is closed to the public. We are closing that for temporary. That is only for law enforcement resources right now. We had some issues, the public out there parking on the road, we can't get by going through stuff. Highway 39 is closed to the public. Our missing phone call center is open to those reporting missing loved ones. The phone number for that is 830-258-1111. That's the same number we've had, 830-258-1111. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dalton Rice.
Thank you, Sheriff. Again, welcome. We appreciate your patience. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have the safety of our responders, at the forefront of this, so we can continue to do search and rescue operations. First and foremost, our hearts are with the families and loved ones affected by this heartbreaking tragedy. Our entire focus at this time is on the search and reunification efforts for those remained unaccounted for. That is where our energy, our resources, and our attention are directed. Nothing is more important than bringing comfort and clarity to those who are waiting and grieving. We know questions are being asked about the emergency notification, and while it is not the time to speculate, local and regional partners are committed to a full review of the events and systems in place. At the appropriate time, we will take clear steps to strengthen our future preparedness. We owe that commitment to the families who are suffering and to every member of our community. We know many in our community are beginning the cleanup process and figuring out what's needed, whether it's clothes, toothbrushes, other essentials, or cleaning supplies. The City of Kerrville is coordinating with our regional and state partners, State Health and Human Services Commission, the Department of State Health Services Public Health Region 8, and Texas Division of Emergency Management are working to set up a family assistance care center where flood survivors can have the ability to access these supplies. We'll share more details as soon as they're available, and with that, I'll bring up Mayor Herring for information on how you can donate now.
Thank you for being here. I'm Joe Herring, Jr., Mayor of the City of Kerrville. Our work continues. Train experts and professionals from the City of Kerrville, from Kerr County, from...
They said there's an emergency alert in Kerrville. I just got an email for flooding. Emergency alert for flooding here. Where did it go?
This morning, even though different groups and different agencies are involved in the Emergency Operations Center, we are all working as one team. We want to achieve our goal of helping those who've been affected by this flood. Today I learned that another helping hand has joined the fray. HEB is setting up a mobile kitchen in Ingram. And when that kitchen is set up, it will be able to feed a lot of hungry people in the Hunt and Ingram area. If you want more information about that, just go to heb.com, /newsroom. Countless other local businesses are stepping up. They are finding needs and they are meeting them. Now, how can you help? If you would like to make a financial donation, we recommend that you go to the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country. They have set up a portal to receive donations. That would be communityfoundation.net. People across our community, across our state, across the world have been responding to that request. If you would like to volunteer, the city has set up a partnership with our local Kerrville Salvation Army at the Kroc Center. The number to call to register to help or to donate is 830-465-4797. And when I say donate, in-kind donations. For full updates, verified updates, please follow the City of Kerrville Facebook page. Under Facebook, it's called City of Kerrville-City Hall. Finally, as I've said every time I've been before you, please pray for our community. I believe in prayer, and prayers have been answered. Thank you. And now Dalton Rice will come back up.
All right, at this time, we will take 4 questions. Tammy Prout with Hill Country.
Yes, can you tell me, you talked a lot about the bad things, the recovery, but how many rescues are you at? And of the kids that were in the camps that you couldn't get to, that were safe that you couldn't get to, are they all evacuated?
I'm actually going to turn that one over to the sheriff, if that's okay. You have those numbers a little bit better.
Sorry, Tammy. Again, please.
So how many rescues? You were at 850 a couple days ago, and then we have the camps that you couldn't get to the campers, and they were going to be evacuated. I suspect they're all gone, but have you gotten them all out?
Yeah, included in that 850 that we put out is the campers. All the campers are out and safe. A lot of them have been reunited at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Leslie McClure.
Ingram Dam. You guys got any updates on the Ingram Dam?
We have no updates on the Ingram Dam at this time. Amanda Henderson, KHOU.
I'm with CBS News, and she said that for a story, but we talked to several people in this community who say they got no emergency alerts whatsoever. Governor Abbott, in his press release, just placed the responsibility on the local agencies. So just, I know you're focusing on victims right now, but yes or no, did local agencies send out any emergency alerts, flares, sirens of any kind?
No, I know you guys keep asking this question. We appreciate it. We think it's important. We don't want to speculate. At this time, we know there's a lot of speculation and question around it. Again, there's going to be a full review, of this so we can make sure that we focus on future preparedness. We want to continue to focus on the families at this time, and so we're getting through that. So thank you. Leah Waldman, CNN.
Right here.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. With focus on families here, we know that there was a National Weather Service alert issued on Thursday afternoon talking about these flood watches and issuing Kerr County as a high-risk area overnight. Why not preemptively evacuate these camps? You said earlier that was a good question. Did you get to the answer?
Yeah, no, again, it is still a great question. And when you looked at the National Weather Service
notification, when you look at that map showed Kerr County kind of in the northeast corner, and that spread all the way through San Angelo. So there's a lot of information. That's a wide area that must be addressed. And so as we were, preparing for it, unfortunately, the rain hit at the most inopportune time, and right in the most inopportune areas where the North and South Fork hit. It converged, and so here we are. So again, we want to continue to focus on those rescue operations, and at that, we're not taking any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's going to do it for this afternoon. The next time that we'll be in front of the cameras are going to be 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, unless there is a major development where we need to speak to you sooner. And we will use the sign-up sheet and the contact information that y'all have provided to us to reach out to you and let you know time and place. Other than that, unless you do not, if you don't hear from us, 10 o'clock in the morning, right back here. Thank y'all so much.
Okay. Well, worst fears get realized with each update. And Governor Abbott said in that press conference about 30 minutes prior to this one starting to be prepared for the number of dead to go up. And that is exactly what has happened. Folks, as of this afternoon, as we are 5 minutes away before 4 o'clock on this Sunday afternoon, as you are joining our Fox Live digital streaming coverage of this historic, catastrophic flooding event underway right now in central Texas. The death toll currently stands at 68, and that is just in one county. We have others that have died in other Texas counties, like Travis County and Austin and others, but all of the focus at this moment is on Kerr County, Texas, which is in the beautiful Texas Hill Country, a place where so many people had traveled to for the 4th of July holiday, and they had set up camp along the river, and they had a weekend full of fireworks celebrations and cookouts and family time and throwing the ball around and swimming. And this afternoon, 68 people dead in one county after this horrific flash flooding. 40 of those victims are adults and 20 are children. They just confirmed 28 children, 40 adults, 28 children. And I want to also say that during that press conference, 10 Camp Mystic campers remain unaccounted for. When we started our day today, there were 11 campers that were unaccounted for. That has lowered to 10. When we started our day, we had 59 dead in that county. So now we have 68. It just keeps going up. The worst fears realized. And there are also a number of unidentified remains that they have. Out of the adults, 18, they cannot identify, so they're pending notification. And out of the children, 10, they are not able to identify. Wow. And without being overtly graphic, I think we can all infer what that means if they are unable to be identified by sight or by picture, and it requires a DNA sample to be sent off to the emergency lab here in Dallas, at UNT Dallas, in order to find.
One of the articles said that they're going to try to do some rapid
I would like
kits.
to know why they would not accept help from families with private helicopters offering to search yesterday.
JLo, thank you so much for the super chat. 100, thank you so much. I heard that somewhere. I don't know why. I don't know if they feel it's going to throw things off or it's going to, because I think they said they had 4 helicopters. There is a volunteer line, but I don't know why they wouldn't send, let private helicopters go. Anybody in the chat? Any idea why?
With you all, and the worst fears realized, again, the death toll going in the opposite direction of what we had hoped, and just unimaginable. As parents, still 3 days in now, are going to have to continue to wait to know whether their child has been recovered or if they are still out along potentially hundreds of miles of debris field along the Guadalupe River.
Okay,
Meteorologist Dylan Federico joins me now. He's been here with me all afternoon.
Oh, I got it.
At
Redfish.
the desk. Just trying to sort of make sense of this, but also talk about pointing out things from a meteorological standpoint, Dylan. And as we look at these live pictures now, there are growing concerns right now. This is something that happened a couple of days ago, but now new threats emerging this afternoon as we speak. South of us in central Texas with new flash flood warnings, and the radar not looking good in some of these places that need to be dry.
Yeah, I was texting with a colleague, and he pointed out to me that this very well could be the big one. This
So the document you sent, Redfish, it says final instructions. So this is camp term dates for 2025 Camp Mystic. It's quite a bit of pages, but the summary of this, okay, let's see. Camp Mystic was actively in session with children present during the floods, according to their protocol. And we knew that part. No phones are allowed at camp. Visitors, including parents and boyfriends, are not allowed during the session. You can't even have visitors there. Campers are not allowed to leave the grounds unless emergencies. Parents typically only receive handwritten letters or counselor reports. So many parents have had little or no real contact with their children during the flood emergency. That's kind of horrible too. I understand the thought behind it. It's almost like nostalgic, maybe like back in the day, you have to write each other a letter type of thing, and like to get these kids off of electronics. The problem is during emergency situations like this, where they're not allowed any kind of cell phone, any way to communicate, and there's no device policy in a time like this, this is where it falters. See what else. So campers are not allowed to receive phone calls at all, even from parents, unless it's a birthday or an emergency approved by staff. That's kind of weird. Because to me, it's like, I understand the nostalgic part of it, but I don't think I could do that because I'm just so like a, kind of like a paranoid parent. I've gone to summer camp. You guys went to summer camp? I went to summer camp, but it wasn't like a sleepover thing. My summer camp was a daily thing back and forth. You spend most of the day there. At the end of the day, my mother would get home from work or whatever. She'd pick me up. That's what it was. One time I went on a camping trip for school. That was a really fun trip. That's the only trip I ever stayed like overnight. It was, I don't know, like 4 days. It was a couple of days. I don't remember how long it was. It was a couple of days. It was a lot of fun. And I don't think I had a cell phone back then at that time. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 17. Times are different. Now these kids are 5 years old with cell phones, but I didn't have until I was 17. But there was ways to communicate. So over here, they're not even allowed. You want to call your kid, you miss your kid, you're not even allowed to call. You're not allowed to even call. So that's the even sadder part to this, that these parents that their kids are missing or their kids are deceased, they haven't even had communication with them since I think it started June 30th. It hadn't been that long. Opened June 30th. And it was going to end July 27th. Parents are encouraged not to stay long on drop-off day to reduce homesickness. So when you drop them off, they just want you to bye and just leave. So they don't want you saying, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you. Oh, I'm gonna hug you." They're not even that, and that's kind of horrible to think about it now, knowing that all the stuff that happened, you can't really even say a proper goodbye or "I'm gonna miss you." I mean, I don't know what the restrictions are, but it says according to that policy, keep it quick, I guess. No cell phones, no smartwatches, no e-readers, or anything with a screen or camera allowed, even if disabled or in airplane mode. Wow. No video cameras, no digital cameras, only disposable ones. So I said, what's going on at that camp? Sounds like that.
Coming down 1340, we have confirmed that. On Johnson Creek, there is a rise there. That rise could put 1 to 2 feet.
This is an old video playing over. Oh, let me see if I can get the helicopter back. Where's that helicopter feed? I want to keep going through the policy. Oh, the feed's cut off. Trump was in New Jersey. I wonder if he was talking with Elon. So yeah, no kind of electronic devices. This means no way for campers to document or communicate during emergencies, and no footage of what exactly happened at the camp unless captured by staff. No visitors, no early pickups. Campers cannot leave with family or friends during camp without prior director approval. Visitors, even grandparents, are banned during camp. Boyfriends are not allowed on closing day unless escorted by parents. So you can't even show up to check on your kid. Because I used to do that, like at the daycare. Sometimes I'll randomly pop up in the day, just pop up just to see what's going on. You know what I mean? But you can't even do that at this place. J-Lo, thank you again for the super chat. Seriously said it puts more people at risk if they don't know how to do rescues. Additionally, it clutters the airspace. True as possible. No packages of any kind are allowed to be left. Letters only. You can't send little gifts. No gift exchange allowed between campers. Camp requires notification before camp. If a child has been diagnosed or treated for anxiety, depression, self-harm, or bipolar disorder, ADD and ADHD medication is encouraged not to be paused during camp due to a busy schedule. Not to be paused. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Blood Watch.
When you were hearing them talk about broadening the state's response, and in military terms, broadening what they call the area of responsibility.
Yeah, and just thinking about this from a human condition standpoint too, Casey, you know, unfortunately, with this storm developing now and these operations being grinded to a halt once again, we're likely talking about yet another night of 10 children, family members of 10 children, waiting another night to find out what happened, and it's just horrible. Horrible is not even a strong enough word. So I think right now it's just important that everybody in this community just continues to just be sensitive to what's happening down there and just sticking to vetted sources of things that may or may not be going on down there. So I just think right now it's a time to just be very mindful at 10 children still unaccounted for right now.
And going back to putting yourself in other people's shoes, what would you do if that were your child? Our own Peyton Yeager in our photo.
My daughter in the area just told me they are evacuating Kerrville and Hunt as a new wall of water is heading that way.
Renee, thank you so much for the 20. That's what people were telling me. I got tagged and I was sent that information. Redfish, by the way, thank you for that PDF. Appreciate that. ICU had sent this this information here about the Kerrville. They did send out an alert Yeah, if you got people out in Texas, I've messaged. I think most of my Texas friends, the friends that I have out there, are fine. They're not in that area or close to those areas. My daughter told me they're evacuating Kerrville and Hunt as a new wall of water. So this is here flash flood
Catastrophic
warning.
rise like we saw the other night. Now, with that being said, I'd like to talk to you for just a moment about the other things that are going on here, because when we first pulled up, the fellow said one of the things that they're dealing with that just illustrates the force of the water is that way over on the opposite bank, there is a full-sized dump truck wrapped around a cypress tree over there. And I mean a full-size dump truck wrapped around a tree. We have no idea where it came from, but it's over there. And then I want to draw your attention to the main Center Point Bridge over the Guadalupe River, because this is a main thoroughfare that thousands of people use every day. It's very important. It has been closed since Friday morning. And I want to draw your attention to the far side of the bridge over there, because when I was here Friday morning, people told me that there was a house that had crashed into the bridge footing over there. And what officials said was, well, it wasn't a full house, it was just a portion of a house, and they didn't really think that it crashed into the bridge, but it sort of, as the water was coming up and down, it sort of landed, if you will, on a bunch of other debris over there. And you can see that there are trees down, there's still big debris piles over there, but everything that was related to that house, to that roof, to that gable that I saw on Friday, it's not there anymore. And when we were by here a couple of hours ago, there were massive amounts of heavy equipment up there removing debris from the footing of the bridge, the approach to the bridge, the underside of the bridge. I don't know if you can see all the way past the bridge, but there's areas of scraped earth where obviously a lot of debris has been removed from the bridge. And then up on top, on the driving surface of the bridge, there are small pieces of equipment that are continuing to remove debris. Earlier when we were here, there were actually big water trucks that were hosing down the bridge, because when the bridge was overtopped by floodwater Friday morning, man, was it a muddy, mucky, nasty mess. So they came in here with high pressure water and they have cleaned the bridge, but when's it going to open? Well, we don't know that. So what we're told that they're waiting on is they wanted to get all of this debris away from that footing of the bridge so that engineers could come in and inspect it and see if there was any structural damage, if the bridge had been compromised, because they didn't want people driving on the bridge, obviously, if it had been structurally compromised. So those are the highlights of what is going on here in Center Point at this hour. As they said, you know, we're going to be continuing to monitor river conditions here. We've got a bird's eye view, and if anything changes significantly, we'll get back to you. But otherwise, man, we have been on a tour, a grand tour today. We saw houses that have been ripped from their foundations. We saw searchers out in the Kerrville area, game wardens, 24 or so. They had canines, they had all kinds of resources with them. They had a long boat that they launched in the Kerrville area. And then, of course, the 20 or 30 searchers that we saw down around Homilius Road, which is south of here, downstream from here. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of relief efforts. When we first pulled into Center Point this afternoon, we were driving down the main drag on 27, and it was church group, church group, church group, church group. There were all these people in every place you could find to park. They had tables set up, they had signs set up, you know, we love you, we bless you, we want to feed you, we're going to give you free food. It was Texas hospitality at its best. So, you know, when we were down with the searchers, they were handing out water bottles, and one woman even came up and offered her home. She said, you know, if you guys are out in it and you even need a break, a bathroom break or whatever, you know, she offered her home to us. So that's just indicative of the kind of folks that are responding here. And we're going to stick with it. Back to you guys.
That is what we do as Texans, Sue, and you know the Hill Country needs so much love. and a hug right now. But it's interesting to see, Ryan, when you look at that, and Alicia, as we were just saying, the barks on the trees stripped away, the debris, and then you're talking about more water coming down too.
That's why it's so important, right, Ryan, to clear that debris so the water will stay, hopefully, in the river and things won't be so catastrophic compared to a couple of days ago. What are you seeing now on the radar?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of rain, but this may aggravate the situation, may lead to moderate flooding
warnings
at a very similar location along the Guadalupe, at Hunt, and at Kerrville as well. So these are two separate flood warnings, one in parts of Gillespie County. This particular cell is weakening, but still providing some heavy rain as it moves just south of Fredericksburg, but it might impact downtown Fredericksburg, but mostly southern Gillespie County. More importantly, south and southeast and southwest, I should say, is another flood warning. This one is for a large storm. So there's Kerrville, right here. There's Ingram. And then right about here, there's Hunt. And that's seeing a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning. This particular warning is in effect until 7:30 tonight. People affected, about 2,000.
That's interesting, man. The way the rain is just
amount of rain
on and on
that
and on
you
and
already
on
know.
and on.
Like, we've already seen about 12 inches of rain in Hunt, in Ingram. Foot of rainfall in central Kerr County. So add this amount of rain, probably an additional 2 to 4 is possible in Hunt. That could just add insult to injury and be a big concern for the Guadalupe, for Hunt, for Ingram. This is moving east-southeast, so this will impact Ingram and Kerrville in the next probably hour or so. So we're watching this very closely. And according to the National Weather Service, there was an additional warning that was issued, a river flood warning, which we'll show you in a second. But from Hunt towards Ingram, the Guadalupe River, about, let's say, 10 minutes ago, was at 8.5 feet. And it is expected to rise to about 12 feet later this evening. So this will rise above the flood stage this evening, and the forecast is to be about 11.7 feet, a few feet from where it is right now. And then eventually it'll fall below the flood stage after midnight tonight. So that's why there's a flood warning for the Guadalupe River between Hunt and near Kerrville down to Comfort. But it's mostly for Hunt right now. So here's radar, larger view of things. We see redevelopment out in western San Antonio, which we'll show you in a second. Heavy rain out near Fredericksburg, but that particular cell really dying off as it drops farther south. The big concern are these three different warnings. We just talked about it. There's the river flood warning right there, more of a brighter green between Hunt and Kerrville. That flood warning will be in effect for this evening for any additional rain that falls into the Guadalupe that could increase that flood stage concern. These other two warnings south of Harper, mostly for this cell right here, these two different downpours. This one's moving farther east towards Fredericksburg, but these storms are almost drifting away from the mean flow and moving farther south and maybe southwest, just depending on how these particular cells interact with each other. They'll likely drift a little bit farther south.
Okay, so that's the weather updates. Gabriel is saying on Discord, because we're on Discord too, if you ever want to hang out and join. It's not for everybody, but it's there. The death toll across central Texas has reached at least 80. CNN is reporting new death toll counts 80. And this morning we had kind of covered that. So one of the articles said it was probably going to increase to like 100, which is just crazy. I mean, in the excitement of they found two girls alive, at the same time, the guy was like, oh, there's probably a body there. Recover. I think he said like 5 bodies. It's like, it's amazing, but at the same time, it's like so sad, It's like hard to almost celebrate, but it's amazing that 2 people were found like that.
Went to camp in NC for a month before 8th. Rule helps kids adjust to being away from parents. Sent my mom some crazy letters at first like they were trying to kill me with hiking. By end of camp 1 didn't want to leave.
Really? Shirley, thank you for the 20. Young and Shirley. I had a lot of fun with my camp. I had a lot of fun. Though mine was daily. I can imagine maybe the whole sleepover thing, like maybe it builds camaraderie, a little bit of independence. But for sure they have to have emergency things in place. I had a lot of fun. I used to sneak off, just run off into the woods with friends and have fun and then come back. It was a lot of fun. I appreciated it, Let's talk about, Layla sent me this, the National Weather Service timeline. There's a full timeline. I had a brief timeline on my website at iCkEdMeL.com, but now apparently there's a new article because some people are saying the alerts were never sent out. There was alerts sent out, but the problem is they didn't know how much water was going to come, and at the time everybody was sleeping. There's problems, and then with some of these camps, you know what I'm saying, you already know they don't use cell phones and whatever. So the National Weather Service, NWS, said that on the morning of July 3rd, the office in Austin/San Antonio held the forecast briefings for emergency management and issued a flood watch that afternoon. The National Weather Service said flash flood warnings were issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before warning criteria were met. The National Water Center Flood Hazard Outlook issued on Thursday, July 3rd morning indicated an expansion of flash flood potential to include Kerrville, Texas, and surrounding areas. A flood watch was issued by the National Weather Service, Austin/San Antonio at 1:18 p.m. Central. We talked about that on Thursday, in effect through Friday morning. Weather Prediction Center, WPC, issued 3 mesoscale precipitation discussions for the excessive rainfall event as early as 6:10 p.m. Central Thursday, indicating a potential for flash flooding. The National Water Center Area Hydrologic Discussion, AHD 144, issued 6:22 p.m. Central on 7/3/2025. Message locally considerable flood warning for areas north and west of San Antonio, including the city of Kerrville. Then at 11:41, the first flash flood warning for the event was issued, 11:41 Central, Thursday, for Bandera County. At 1:14 a.m. Central, flash flood warning with a considerable tag was issued for Bandera and Kerr counties. Flash flood warnings with the impact-based warning tags considerable or catastrophic denote high damage threats and will automatically trigger wireless emergency alerts, WEAs, on enabled mobile devices, ensuring only the most life-threatening flash flood events prompt urgent public notifications. All alerts are also sent out over NAAA weather radio. Now, the problem is, again, they were talking about some of these people don't have service in those areas. These camps, they don't have the kids, or nobody's really allowed to. I don't know what the rule is with the counselors, but these people aren't allowed to use phones. And they were sleeping at this time, probably more than likely sleeping. They get flash flood warnings all the time. So this, like somebody said yesterday, this was like white noise. But things got serious in the early morning hours. So they were alerts that went out. They probably need to figure out a way to. We got to figure out a way to update this. I don't know. We got to improve this. I mean, there were alerts sent out, but the problem is these phones now. I know T-Mobile's doing it, and some of these other cell phone services. They have access to Starlink. This iPhone thing has some Starlink option that got enabled. I have Verizon. There was some type of thing that was enabled, Starlink. We should try to get something going when we have all this technology. It's 2025. We should be able to find a way to communicate emergency stuff like this, even if you don't have cell signal. So there was these alerts that were sent out, and then first reports of Kerr County Sheriff's Office of flooding at low water crossings at 201 minutes of lead time, 4:35 a.m. First reports of Kerr County Sheriff's Office of flooding. Flash flood warning was upgraded to a flash flood emergency for South Central Kerr County, including Hunt, as early as 4:03. By that time, it was almost, I think at 4:30 and 5 o'clock, because 5:30 was when it was already like too late. 5 a.m. Central, July 4th, National Water Center Area Hydraulic discussion number 146 included concern for widespread considerable flooding through the day. The flood hazard outlook was also upgraded to considerable catastrophic. Flash flood emergency issued for the Guadalupe River at 5:34 a.m. Local NWS office had extra staffers. National Weather Service meteorologist Jason said the National Weather Service office in Bronxville, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms. Where the office would typically have 2 forecasters on duty during clear weather, they had up to 5. There were extra staff in here that night, and that's typical in every weather service office. You staff up for an event and bring people in overtime to help people over. Kerr County has no flood warning system. Officials in Texas are facing growing scrutiny over a lack of reliable warning system in the area. During the news conference Friday, Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly said he didn't know why the camps hadn't evacuated, but the county did not have an early warning system or outdoor sirens. That's another place that, and I thought they said Kerr County had some type of flood or water level thing. Maybe it wasn't functioning properly. There's other things we can do. There's other things, these sirens. They should have, yeah, what's up with the sirens and some early warning? The water levels are increasing. He says, we've looked into it before. The public reeled at the cost. Oh, please. We spent so much money on bullshit. He said he didn't know what kind of safety and evacuation plans the camp may have had. What I do know is that the flood hit the camps first, and it came in the middle of the night. I don't know where the kids were, he said. I don't know what kind of alarm systems they had. That will come out in time. KXAN TV, an NBC affiliate in Austin, reported that in 2018, Kerr County and the Upper Guadalupe River Authority applied for a $1 million grant for a flood warning system, but the grant was not selected. Citing meeting minutes, KXAN said the county was still pursuing grant options in 2020 and 2023. NWS alerts triggered wireless emergency alerts, WEAs, on enabled devices, but many summer camps do not allow campers to bring mobile devices. So then, I mean, that's where the adults, those camp directors and counselors, they should have those things enabled on their devices. In some type of radio or something. U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro, representative of San Antonio, discussed the potential role of missing personnel could have played on CNN State of the Union. I don't think it's helpful to have missing key personnel from the National Weather Service not in place to help prevent these tragedies. When you look at flash flooding, you know there is a risk that you have to that you won't have the personnel to do that analysis, to do the predictions. Castro said he doesn't know conclusively that staffing was part of the problem, but I do think that it should be investigated. So there's a lot to look into. This is the full timeline. I do see a lot of people on social media and online saying, oh, no alerts were sent out. They should have sent something out. How could they not send? Here's a whole timeline. If you want me to send you the article, you can send it to those people. There still needs to be some improvement. There needs to be, obviously, a lot of improvement. Some warning systems, a way to communicate. But I know people, even with the Amber Alerts, people were complaining about the Amber Alerts because at one point, oh, they're waking me up at night. You know, people saying they get waken up in the middle of the night. They get woken up early in the morning. We don't want the alerts. We don't want the alerts. There's one of those things, too. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. But maybe they should set a certain criteria, like if it's a flash flood warning. And even with the warning, by the time they knew it was what it was, they didn't know the levels of how high the water was going to be. That's the other problem, too. That water came in so fast. WFA reports the earliest flood warnings were issued Tuesday. What alerts did NWS send ahead of the deadly flash floods in Texas. Here's a timeline of the events. Here's another timeline. I guess we could just watch this. Oh no. Please, no copyright. Oh.
Let's bring in meteorologist Jesse Huila now, because a lot of folks just want to know why all of this happened, how so many lives were lost. And Jesse, you've put together a timeline of the watches and the warnings and when they went out.
Yeah, I think it's really important context, and a lot of people have been asking for that context.
Yes.
They want to know what the forecast looked like, what did the warning and watch situation look like. So I want to run you down and when exactly. So I've kind of put together this timeline. I went back and looked through all the alerts and all the forecasts, and let me show you what I found here. So from Tuesday to Thursday morning, now remember this happened really early Friday morning in Kerr County, specifically talking about near Hunt, near for Camp Mystic area. So from Tuesday to Thursday morning, forecasts from the National Weather Service in San Antonio and Austin mentioned the potential for flooding. So, a couple of days leading up to the event, they were mentioning the potential for heavy rain and flooding. At 1:18 in the afternoon Thursday, so this would be the afternoon before this happened, a flood watch was issued through Friday morning. The flood watch mentioned up to 7 inches of rain and the possibility of rivers flooding. Kerr County was included in that initial flood watch Thursday afternoon. By 6:10 Thursday evening, a special discussion was issued. What this means is it's just an area highlighted, an area of interest where the forecast is becoming a little bit more clear and the dynamics of what might take shape become a little bit more obvious. And some of the things mentioned in that discussion were things like concerning trends, flash flooding likely, rainfall rates higher than 3 inches per hour. Now we go all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday at 1:06. Early in the morning on Friday, the first flash flood warning for Kerr County was issued, and this was a unique one in a sense. The tag of considerable was issued with this warning. Now, what does that mean? When the National Weather Service puts in considerable or catastrophic or devastating into these tags or in these warnings, that typically triggers the wireless emergency alerts on cell phones. You know how your cell phone will go off during a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning. Tags like that will sound them for flash flood warnings. At 2:28 in the morning on Friday, there was a communication delivered by the National Weather Service saying that up to 5 inches of rain had fallen and flash flooding had likely.
I actually get alerts like that too. I mean, it just comes up on my phone. Sometimes we get tornado warnings, and that pops up on my phone all the time, like during hurricanes and stuff, or even not during hurricanes. Sometimes I get the warnings. It tells you what area. It pops up on my phone,
Begun in Kerr County. Again, that was at 2:28 in the morning on Friday. At 3:02 in the morning on Friday, another communication went out saying that a dangerous flash flood event is unfolding in south central Kerr County. We go then to 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:03 Friday, a flash flood emergency was issued for Kerr County. A very small fraction of flash flood warnings actually get that upgrade. This is usually when flash flooding can turn deadly very quickly. Then by 4:20 in the morning on Friday, the Guadalupe River at Hunt, which is very close to Camp Mystic technically in Hunt, reaches major flood stage. The major flood stage for the river there, 22 feet. It crested at 29.45 feet.
That's a great timeline. Okay. All right. Yeah, so that's a great timeline. Thank you for that. I might have to put it on the website. I might have to update it and put it on the website. The updates website for the timeline, because there's people who are saying no notification was sent out, nothing was done. Nobody. Why did we get? I just saw it early on Facebook. People, we never got a notification. There was, but we gotta figure. There's definitely, once these people are rescued or people are recovered, there's so much to do. There's cleanup and everything, but there was warning given. It was warning given, but it just, we need to improve this. And like I said, the technology is already there. They can flip a switch with the Starlink crap and put it on your phone or whatever. So if you don't have service, you can get notifications. And they might have to revisit this camp. Well, the camp is destroyed now, but and the interesting thing too is the earlier live stream that we covered, there was somebody that said they used to be a counselor there. And the structures were a little bit on the higher ground. And so they thought that maybe it'd be okay, I guess. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that.
Conditions.
What did I just do? So, and she had said that they were instructed to stay in the cabins. This was from a long, long time ago because they thought it would be safer. And I wonder if that's what those counselors thought. Because you saw the busted out window. Let me see. I took some screenshots. The busted out windows. I'm thinking they had, maybe they were instructed, like that lady said years and years, decades ago when she used to be a counselor. Maybe they thought they were going to be safe inside, or maybe the water just crept up on them and they woke up to the water and it was too late already. But maybe they thought they were going to be safe. At some point, the water kept rising and they started busting out the windows. I mean, I just can't imagine the chaos that night that must have been there. And unfortunate that, like, I don't know, I guess they had no way to, like, get to the roof, right? Like, maybe they could have been some type of, I don't know, ladder or something, get this kid, everybody up on the roof. Maybe they could have been up there. I don't know. Oof. Yeah, just really sad, horrific. So, I don't know. You know, they're gonna have to investigate after this stuff settles. I guess they're gonna have to how we can improve the system, the technological stuff, better alerts and safety in place. I mean, we could have alerts all day, and it doesn't mean a thing. All right, I have to head out now, guys. But I will catch you later. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm elated that those two girls were found. And it was rescued a large group of girls. What was this? Oh, I saw that earlier. Yeah. Thank you. I saw that 2 hours ago. Yeah. It's awesome. And I'll keep you guys posted with all the news, all right? Please hit like and subscribe. Subscribe to the second page as well. Subscribe to the Clips channel because I'm posting clips there because, I'm limited on notifications. YouTube limits me. So I have the second page where I'm posting clips, I'm posting updates. And if you want, you could also check out, if you're bored, sometimes you want to go check out the website. If you click live updates up top, I have I've been doing updates when I can. Like I just updated this with the two girls that were found. There's a little bit of information on there. Tonight, if I have time, I'd like to update the timeline. I have a preliminary timeline, but now we have a new one. So I'll try to update the timeline and list sources and stuff like that. All right. Be safe. Thank you guys so much. Take care. See you. Maybe tonight we'll be back. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop. It is interesting. The flooding, the continuation of rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. And they've been doing this rain enrichment programs, cloud seeding. I don't know. Take care.